Hello everybody, it's Tim Dwyer here. Guys, here's a little video I'm putting together, and it's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody's going to appreciate what I've got on here, and to be honest, a lot of you are going to shake your head and say, you are kidding me. What the heck? So let's just roll on with this for a minute, and please understand that what you're going to see in this particular video is entertainment and not to be taken as legal advice, and that will come up a few times. All right, now as you know, I've got some political views and I'm not frightened to share them. I don't insist that everybody think the same way as I do, and I certainly don't stop you from having your beliefs and your say, because free speech in this country must be allowed to prevail. I'm just glad I don't play bloody rugby. But anyway, let's go. Okay, you've heard me say in previous videos, when it comes to the government, listen to what they say, but judge them by what they do. Now, if you had somebody that continually lied to you and cheated from you and stole from you, would you continually pally up to them, best mate, buddy, pal, and go, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir? You see, when will the government listen to us? Well, they don't have to. What? No, you'll get it in a bit, right? Why won't they protect Australians? Well, they don't have to. You know, the Foreign Investment Review Board, you want to put that into your Google search and have a look and say, who is the Foreign Investment Review Board? You'll find there's some very interesting people in there that are just, let's say they don't have Australia's best interest at heart, and they've got a lot of very interesting connections. And the word investment means to get a return on. And the only people getting a return on all the stuff that's being sold to the Chinese and the Arabs and everybody else are those who are doing the buying. They are getting the investment. The people that are in charge of the Foreign Investment Review Board, it's foreign investment, not Australian investment. It's in the name, people. Wake up. Anyway, are there any answers out there, right? I mean, we can complain about all this stuff all day long, but is there any answers? Well, in every aspect of the Parliament of Australia, it's failed the people. The Parliament has lost the confidence of the people and should by law stand down, because I don't know anybody who's happy with the crap that's going on. The power prices keep going up. The foreign aid keeps going up. The Australian people are being, our living wage is diminishing in buying power. The costs are going through the roof. And all the time, they put themselves out there as, oh, how good we are. My theory is that those in the seats in Canberra are not even there lawfully, but that's another question for another day. Now, just a few questions. Do you think the Australian government is handling your tax dollars extremely well? Do you think you're getting bang for your buck? Or do you think that they just waste the great majority of it? Well, if you're like me, my opinion is giving the government tax dollars is like feeding a horse hay. By the time he's finished with it, all that comes out the other end is crap and big piles of it. Or should we just accept what they say is the truth? Oh, yes, we're doing this and we're doing that, and we've got this infrastructure and this and that and everything else. And are you sure that they actually have true authority, right, over you? Oops, I missed out the over, right? Do they really have authority? And here's a question. We'll get to this in a little bit. But are you an entity, or are you a man or a woman? These are all important questions. It might seem a bit fractured at the moment, but it'll come together in a few minutes. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. This is about to get real interesting. What would happen if we, the people, dried up the money flow? Now, this is just a question, right? What if we stopped the money flow for them? You know, like if you've got somebody who's blowing their dough, you take the money off them, they can't waste it. Now, is it a demand at law to pay tax? It's just a question. And is taxation a voluntary act, meaning you by your own choice pay the ATO money? Well, what do you mean? We've got to pay tax. How do we build the roads? How do we build the hospitals? How do we do all this? People, that is not done by your tax dollars. We'll get to that in a minute. Have a look at this. Now, when you talk to government people, they say, oh, yes, I've seen all that rubbish out on the internet. But there's a few high court cases tossed in there as well. But anyway, let's have a look at this. Is the Australian Taxation Office illegal? Now, this isn't my writing. I found this. So have thousands of others. It seems so. After all, it is a private company registered in Washington, and according to a World Bank official, tax revenue is given to the Roman Catholic Vatican Church. So how does the government run the country? Well, it's simple. It borrows every penny of it and pays interest on top. Well, borrows from whom? Well, I'm sure you can work it out. So why the continual push to raise the debt level when the government already has the power to create our own money interest-free and debt-free? There's some questions. Right? Now, the following facts support the claim of the ATO being illegal. All law in Australia must be passed through Parliament in both houses, and then by law must be gazetted. It must be put in the Government Gazette. Now, the law that establishes the Australian Tax Office has been challenged in a particular court, whereby the plaintiff created the need to document the ATO's formation to the satisfaction of the defendant and the court. The plaintiff, with the approval of the Australian National Library, brought into the court every federal government gazette for the time period around when the law was passed by the federal parliament. The defendant asked to please show us in which gazette we will find the legislation regarding the Australian Taxation Office, to which the defendant stated, it isn't in any government gazette. How interesting. What is a gazette? A gazette is an official publication for the purpose of notifying the actions and decisions of the government. All Australian governments, Commonwealth, state and territory, publish official gazettes. Notices published in government gazettes cover all aspects of government concerning a regulation and must be published because of a requirement of law. Acts, regulations and other subordinate legislations are notified in all gazettes, with some states publishing regulations in full as part of their notification. What you might find in a gazette, I've highlighted this one, proclamations which bring acts into operation. But hang on, let's go back. It's not in any government gazette. A proclamation which brings acts into operation. Wow. Well, what the heck does all this mean? Well, I had a little bit of a think about this many years ago, and so I started asking questions. Now, those questions, the ATO didn't like me asking, and the letters went backwards and forwards for quite a while, and they were threatening me with a big stick, and they were going to play merry hell and, you know, dance on my bones almost. But anyway, there were some interesting documents that you're going to see in a minute. The judge, now listen to this, the judge of the matter then stated, pardon me, you have proved beyond any doubt that the law establishing the Australian Taxation Office has not been gazetted and thus place its legality in question, he went on. But I cannot permit Australia to fall into financial chaos and thus strike this out of evidence. Further, Justice J. Callanan of the High Court in Malik versus Chapman agreed that the ATO was not a legal entity. And apparently this has been validated by 2 other judges. Man, does that get interesting. You know, it's that time of year again. Just thought I'd put this out there, give you some food for thought. So here's a letter I got. As you can see, it's written to me, and it's from the Australian Government, Australian Taxation Office, and that's their reference. The contact office was Peter Butler, and we had lots of communication. Now, I put this on here, some entertainment, not to be taken as legal advice, because I'm not a lawyer and I can't give legal advice. So this is just basically entertainment of a sorts. Now, as you can see, it's the same letter, and we go down there, 20th of November 2015, addressed to the Deputy Commissioner and all that sort of stuff. Pardon me while I have a quick cough here, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, so I kept telling them, because they wouldn't respond to me, that they were in acquiescence and all the rest of the stuff, and they carried on like farts in bottles. And I'll just bring this up a little bit better here. Listen to this, Gazettal of Department. You assert that there is a constitutional process that must be followed to make a government department lawful. I advise that there is no such section in the Commonwealth Government Constitution, Act of 1900, which mandates that a government department must be gazetted. Now, I would put in there, I think that's a porky pie. I think he's misunderstood. Maybe he's not quite right. And in the absence of proof on your part that the Commissioner of Taxation will adhere to case law, which has consistently found that the operation of the ATO is not affected by any lack of gazettal, right? Of gazettal, not gazette, gazettal, of the ATO as a department. See, for instance, now we're going to dig around in here a little bit. Legality of the ATO. The phrase legal entity means an entity that can sue or be sued. The ATO can neither sue nor be sued. Did you hear that? The ATO cannot be sued, nor can it sue you. Therefore, it is not a legal entity. However, not being a legal entity doesn't mean that the ATO is an illegal entity. Geez, that sounded like a bowl of spaghetti to me. However, what happens is there's a few things in here. They've told you, this is on the ATO letterhead, and they've told us that the ATO is not a legal entity. And yet every time you have to pay money to the ATO, you get a form that says pay ATO whatever amount of money you owe. Doesn't say pay Deputy Commissioner or Commissioner. It says pay ATO. How do you pay a non-entity? So let's go back here, and there's a bit more to this, right? All or any of the commissioners, second commissioners, and deputy commissioners of taxation can sue or be sued. Therefore, they are legal entities for taxation administration purposes. In every court case involving the taxation, the entities have been the taxpayers, and one or more of the commissioners, as the commissioners are the legal entities for the taxation administration matters. It is immaterial if the ATO is an organisation, is not a legal entity. You got to love that, right? So what I did is I got back in touch with them, and I said to them, certainly, I understand. I rang Peter What's-His-Face, and I said, could you please send me the commissioner or deputy commissioner's ABN number and bank account details so as I may pay the tax? And they said the commissioner and or the deputy commissioners cannot accept payment of tax. You have to pay the ATO. And I said, well, I can't because it's a non-entity. Checkmate. Now, this is back in 2015, and I haven't paid a penny since. But anyway, let's have a look at this. Non-entity, noun, blank, cipher, existenceless, inexistence, insignificance, matter of no consequence, matter of no importance, nil, no one, nobody, right? Non-existence. Let's have a look over here. Non-legitimous, felonious, illegal, illegitimate, unlawful. These are the definitions. Over here, unimportant, person, person of no importance, person of no account, nobody, cipher, non-person, man of straw, nothing, small fry, lightweight, mediocrity, second rater. So here we've got the ATO, who is not a legal entity, through their commissioners or deputy commissioners and your accountants tell you got to pay the ATO. Can you see that something's wrong here? It's just, how does this work? You just haven't bothered to ask the question because everybody's terrified of the ATO. I mean, my dad was. I swear it was the ATO that the stress that they had him under and the threats they had him under turned him into an alcoholic. Unbelievable. But anyway, that was his choice, I suppose. But everybody's terrified of this big bad wolf. Now, if it's not right, then by definition, it must be wrong. Have a look at this. Here's a simple way to understand what I've been talking about. In my philosophy, God created everything because the book says so. So God created man. Can the created be greater than that which created it? Can we be bigger, greater than God? No. Man creates governments. Can the created be greater than that which created it? Can the government be greater than man? No, not at all, never. So what happens is the government create corporations and entities. And you are, as far as the government is concerned, they've made you an entity. Now, there's a whole educational process to be done here, and we haven't got time today, right? But the question is, as an entity created by the government, you cannot be greater than that which created you, or a corporation. However, you have a choice. Are you the entity or the man, woman? Are you this in charge of that, or are you this subordinate to that? It's your choice where you fit. Anyway, you can educate yourself on that. So it's time to demand that those in government positions produce the documents that evidence their authority over man and woman. People, you need to educate yourselves in these matters. You really do. You really just got to get your head around this stuff. It blows your mind, right? And when I put this out there, if you've got any questions, come back and I will try and answer them. As I said, this is not legal advice, so don't come to me for accounting advice or anything like that. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. This is entertainment. I find this stuff fascinating. It's all, you couldn't write a script this insane, right? It is just bizarre. Now, a lot of you may have seen this before. And so what we've got there is we've got natural law versus artificial. So over here, you've got the man and woman, and over here, you've got governments and corporations, right? So here, you're a dead legal personality. Under natural law, you're a living man or woman. You have private rights, you have public privileges, you have lawful standing, you have legal status. And when you go, and I'd pause the video at this point, and I would read this and get your head around it, because quite frankly, we have all been sold a pig in a poke, right? We have all been sold a pig in a poke, right? The law protects the people from harm, loss, and deceit. Statutes govern legal entities. And if you have a look at your license, you're an entity. If you have a look at all your government documents, it's all sent to you in capitals or some variation thereof. that makes you a legal fictitious entity. But anyway, you need to go and have a look at this stuff, educate yourselves. And people say to me, well, you know, what happens when they come looking for you? Well, they know where I live. They haven't come looking for me. They might now that I've put this video out, but they haven't come looking for me. They've got bigger fish to fry. This is why people like Origin Energy pay no tax. This is why companies like Ingham's Chickens, right? Ingham Enterprises, they don't pay tax. Billions of dollars in turnover, but don't pay any tax. Why? They know that the ATO is not a lawful entity. They know this stuff. And we sit there and say, go chase the corporates. Well, they can't, because the corporates, the big guys, know this stuff and they don't pay any tax. It's time we, the little guys, we knew this stuff. There are some questions you could formulate if you do some research of your own. I'd suggest you invest some time and gain a bit of knowledge. Understand the difference between entity and man and woman. Sorry about the phone. Have some fun learning, but don't be a bull in a china shop. Take your time. And all those in authority, they need you to agree that they have authority over you to actually have it. You see, in the preamble of the Constitution, it says that the people have the absolute, total, and uncontrollable authority. You've forgotten that or were never told it. So this little video is about to come to an end, or is it the beginning? Thank you so very much for your time. And I just encourage you all to start a conversation and do some research and do good research. All right, do good research and have fun. Thank you. Until next time, stay warm, stay safe, and I'll speak to you again another day.